Folks, welcome to another session of the InstaHire Roundtable. This is a place where ideas and leaders meet. And today we have a very, very special agenda. It's a very pertinent issue in today's times. And today's agenda is harnessing the power of artificial intelligence and technology in talent and diversity management. Okay. Before we start, let me talk a little about what we do about InstaHire. So we are a platform which allows companies to find talent with 10x more accuracy and 10x less time compared to any other solution in the market. We are trusted by companies like Amazon, Google, Walmart, Cisco, Geo, PayPal, Salesforce, and we work with around 10,000 plus enterprises, startups, unicorns. We work with the entire gamut from very large companies to very small companies or startups which are growing in. But the special thing today is we have a very, very senior HR leader with us. We have Anirban Mullick from Tech Mahindra. He heads the talent acquisition at Tech Mahindra. So over to you, Anirban, a brief introduction about yourself. And so over to you.
Thanks, Abhijit. I think, first of all, thank you for inviting.
This call is now being recorded.
Onto this session. I think it's one of its kind, and I think slowly and gradually we're moving to such innovative ways of interacting from the cliche ways of doing things. So for myself, so being with this organization for the last over a decade, and primarily what I've been doing in the last 10 years is being into talent management, talent acquisition primarily, pretty much across multiple locations, across tech, non-tech verticals. So yeah, but I think in a nutshell, that's pretty much how my day job looks like. So yeah.
Great to have you, Anirban, and it's a pleasure hosting you in today's InstaHire Roundtable. So without much delay, let's move on to the first question which I wanted to ask you. So according to you, what role does intelligence or artificial intelligence, which we are seeing right now, or we have seen the last 4-5 years coming into play in your approach to talent management and also diversity management?
Yeah, see, before I answer the question, I'll kind of take a few steps back. I mean, if you really look at the economy around, how things have been really shaping. And if you look at India in isolation, for example, so, the entire economy has been going through a massive
Okay.
So it's been, transforming from industrial economy to last few years. We've seen a massive shift in a digital economy. And now we are in what I would say is more of an AI-based economy. And all these changes that we've been seeing has moved at a very, very fast pace. If you look at your industrial versus, let's say, digital, it happened, the gap between the two was roughly 60-70 years. But between your digital now, I mean, digital happened a decade back, right? I mean, we all remember how notebooks happened and how things progressed, right? And it's happening at a very, very fast pace. If you want to stay out of it, it will never happen. So you have to be a part of it. And I think in the talent management space, the talent acquisition space specifically, I think AI will play a very big role because this is the first touch point for an employee in the organization. And it's very critical when you get it right at the first place for both sides, the organization as well as the employee who's working in, right? So you can't rule out technology. You have to be a part of it, and that's what we are also, getting ourselves accustomed to, and as being a part of the game.
Okay, great. So, according to you, so how in your previous stints, or according to your views and opinions, how has AI transformed the talent acquisition in the companies which you have worked in or consulted or presently working in? So or you have seen companies being transformed in the talent acquisition space. How AI has transformed?
See, I think if you look at the role, the talent acquisition role in isolation, one of the most critical aspects of talent acquisition is the fundamental role is the right screening.
Okay.
Because if you look at certain reports, let's say you pick up a Harvard Business Review or you pick up anything to do with the normal what the big fish of the industry speaks, You screen the right candidate, you get the best of the output. And when I'm saying best output, in two different ways. Your selection improves, and secondly, your dropout, which is the biggest fuel in the recruitment industry that reduces. So getting into this critical aspect, and when you have a human intervention, you can only do that much and only reach out to the people. Now, I'll tell you what we have been doing. We are a technology-based company. We are into tech, non-tech, and most of our business lies in the two segments. We have our own ATS. We have not gone to the market for ATS. We have our own ATS, which is end-to-end automated. What we are getting into is we're trying to plug in a way wherein we screen our candidates by an AI-based model, wherein we can filter and reach out to marked numbers on a given day. A recruiter would do over a span of a week and a half. So that's the speed in which AI is helping, or is helping us shape the new ways of working. It's in a developmental phase. As we speak, I think we are very soon will be implementing this, which will help us not only making things more accurate, but also get the same job done much faster. So that's one side of it. A chapter 2 on the same bit is going to be the onboarding phase of it, wherein we would look at aspects like how can you make it more flexible, rather than having a situation where you're doing a physical onboarding of a candidate and he or she is joining the organization. These certain bits, which possibly 5 years back was nowhere in the picture. But I think myself surprised and amazed with the kind of the benefits that I see versus the risk of someone losing his job and such negative aspects. I think the positives are much higher. That way is much better. Is the way it's shaping up as an organization.
Great. Okay. So the sorting and the finding out of the best candidates, that is has been there for quite some time, but the mass reach outs and personalized mass reach outs which you have created, that is quite a brilliant thing which we have done. So we have also been doing this, and the results are actually pretty nice. So how has AI help you solve this kind of diversity challenges and talent challenges, kind of like, say, as you have already told, that drop-offs, you have understood why the drop-offs have happened and how to reduce drop-offs, in any terms, like any other talent management issues which AI has been able to solve, and also the diversity challenges which you have used AI to solve.
Yeah, see, talent management as a topic is quite wide, right? It starts with acquisition, it moves to engagement, moves to retention, so that's the entire, so each leg of the journey. So acquisition, as I said, it's primarily to do with the screening techniques, onboarding techniques, and that's how AI can really, help. When it comes to the management part of it, or the retention part of it, so I think what we would trying to figure out the ways and means and what should be doing. I think what we also looked at is how the current dynamics are really shaping up. And I was reading this article. I think this was on one of the this is the World Economic Report article which came out, that in terms of how many people are actually committed to a given organization. These are all AI-based surveys. And interesting it says that 13% of your employees are the only ones who are committed. Roughly 25% of people, they've actually been changing jobs for the last 1 year. And staggering 55-60% of the people, they have changed jobs since pandemic. So what it really spells out is that it's a very extremely volatile market when it comes to your talent pool that you have in-house. So on one side, when you're acquiring people, you also need to keep the right measures of managing them. I'll give you a simple case study that what we did, which actually worked a win for us, both from a client per se and from a engagement per se, in terms of intern helping the retention and overall talent management of the overall team. So a few years back, we backed the business for a 5G business, and the requirement was to hire telecom, 5G engineers. you look at today's in current scenario, you will find a lot of 5G engineers. I think it's a readily available tool. You get multiple people. But a few years back, that was not the case. You will find very few. It will come at a very hefty cost. So as an organization, what we did is using AI technology, learning modules, we tried to upskill an existing crowd to tackle this piece.
Okay.
Now, why we did this? Obviously, without technology, we couldn't have done it because we didn't have an in-house, engineer who would come and train because it's a new technology in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So what it does is it's a win-win for both sides because one side you have an existing base of an employee who gets upskilled, and it's a great motivation because if you look at the current workforce, they want to be more engaged. They want to be having the feeling that my employer is contributing a lot to my upskilling, to my enhancement. So this plays a big benefit to the stickiness of the individual in the organization. So that takes care of your retention. And from a business perspective, I think it's a great win-win because you're trying to play with the same players rather than trying to hire fresh and then trying to play your bet whether it will work or not work. So yeah, I think those are bits in terms of how really it has helped us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't without AI being a part of it, we would have actually managed to tackle a situation like this. So yeah, I think this is a very initial days from an AI standpoint. If you really look at it, probably I would say in a workplace, it's still in the dial-up mode.
Mm-hmm.
For it to go to Wi-Fi or a 5G speed, it will happen. It's not now, but it will slowly happen.
It's just slowly happening.
I think that's a phase that we are in.
Okay, so like in the last few months, we have seen the influence of Chat GPT and generative AI being taking place. So, what do you think in the next 5 years down the line, when companies will be targeting people who are right now maybe millennium, Gen Zs, like the young kids who are not accessing media as we used to, or our seniors used to, right? So it's a very entirely different ball game altogether. So they are mostly into things like say Snapchat or short videos. That is the thing, not like reading blogs or reading long articles. I'm not saying that they don't read it, but 70% will not. Okay, so and then there will be a lot of gig work which will be happening in the next next 4 or 5 years down the line, because people will not be sticking to one job. They will be doing multiple things, whatever, and they will be upgrading themselves to do another set of multiple things. So what do you think, how the future of artificial intelligence in talent acquisition, talent management will be in the next say 5 years down the line?
See, the way I envision the future of AI, I mean, it's going to be from future standpoint. I think it's going to be a multifold impact. If you again, I'm taking the pick from the report that I was going through. An interesting is that and it's a fact actually, because the thought process in the market is, will this lead to a macro level unemployment?
Okay.
We've seen micro impacts in the past. So let's say previously, used to have this famous music world in Calcutta, and that's where people go and love listening to cassettes and etc. Right?
Yes.
Now it doesn't exist. Okay. So the ways of working, the way of you listening to music has changed. Okay. Similarly, what will happen is, in my mind, is that some part of the jobs will get impacted, and that typically will be a quarter of the overall crowd.
Okay.
25% might get impacted, which is repetitive in nature. However, what will happen is you need your skills to be replaced. You need more skilled labor, and that's the good bit about the current economy, that you have to keep upskilling yourself, or else you'll be out of the race. So 55-60% of the skills will get completely replaced, or else you are not in the game. I'll give you some background in terms of how technology has evolved, let's say, in our life and in our business domain. When we hire for tech vertical, tech and non-tech. In the non-tech, it's typically to do with, let's say, contact center businesses. In a context of the business, the most legacy kind of business has been customer service, cliche business, where you have 500 people taking calls, resolving customer queries. How has this transformed in the current scenario is that, your level one or the very basic queries have moved from the human intervention to things like chatbot, right? And when you move to chatbot, your queries are getting answered much faster in a much efficient manner. Because it's taking less time, the experience in the customer front is fantastic. And your more complex problems are still not being taken and can't be tackled by chatbot, which is eventually needs human intervention.
Yes.
If you ask me, the future, I think the future is now. I mean, now is when we have to get ourselves up and with the game. And, you have to, get things going in a manner that you're plugging both aspects. You can't say technology will rule. You can't say humans are out, because that human touch will surely never be out. The power of creativity can never be taken away by AI. I think that's where we are heading to from a future standpoint.
Okay, understood. And the future standpoint also takes into consideration kind of companies becoming say more and more caring in terms of about their diversity mix, like how they are feeling. So what do you think, like the communication which we sent out, or the messaging can be sent out which we sent out, how will it change, and how will AI impact the messaging? Say we have seen some neutral words being used instead of very gender specific words which have been used in some of the emails, and AI can direct these words and change them so that your emails and communication are very gender neutral. So that is what we have seen throughout. So how do you think diversity will be impacted in the next few years in terms of how we use AI?
Yeah, see, I think how will diversity get impacted, or how will technology, benefit or influence, if that's the right word, in terms of managing the diversity of the workplace? I think look at the entire employee life cycle. There are multiple stages that one goes through, right? And the starting point again starts from talent acquisition. And when it's a human intervention that's involved, let's say I'll give you a very basic example of a job posting.
Okay.
When you do a job posting, and if it's a human intervention which is doing it, there are so many biases, and you can just go to a portal, you can pick up a job, and you can, you can make out the number of biases which is currently there, and that will not attract an individual to really go for or apply for that given role. So the power of AI technology would be that how do you look at the same thing and eradicate those biases to make it a complete platform wherein people will be okay and they'll be comfortable to kind of go ahead and apply, and there is no bias.
Okay.
And the good part is Tech as an organization, we put diversity and inclusion at the heart of our global talent acquisition strategy, end to end. And if I think about a few years back, when we used to have our hiring meetings, we're typically talking about numbers. Okay, fine. This is the target. How much you've delivered. Okay, it's like a very black and white game. From then till now, I think the conversation really transformed, and it's changed for the better. I think it's more about how the mix is looking like. Okay, is there a specific segment of the crowd are we really looking at to capture? What are those areas where we can look at people with special needs? Can we look at those individuals as well? So what I'm telling you is that technology in a way has evolved the ways of thinking and the ways of working when it comes to the first stage of the talent management, right? And that bit is here to stay, and then for the good. If you think about this, sometime that will not be a part of your 6-1-2-5 plan. Now currently that is a part of your 6 months, 12 months, and 5 years plan. That how do you progress? What could be your mix is 70-30, the 30% you're hiring female. Is there a way you can look at upping the game and then getting to the range of 45% in the next 12 months? So that kind of a conversation is what technology and a lot of mindset is driving compared to what was in the past.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's where we stand. I'll give you an example of one of our business units.
Mm-hmm.
I won't name it obviously. Now this unit contributes massively to the overall the BPS business of TML. And the power of this business is, I think, it's multi-dimensional ways in a very diversified workforce from top to bottom. At every hierarchy that we have, it's completely diversified, and that potentially gives us a lot of benefit in terms of the way the end outcome looks like. So yeah, I think that's where we stand as an organization, and that's what I feel, the way forward from a diversification point of view.
Great insights, Anirban. So I think a lot of folks will be listening. Young folks who are coming into TA and coming to talent acquisition recruiting can take a lot of examples, practical examples, and apply it to their own companies. Okay, so with that, I come to the last question of the questions which we have prepared, and then we can go to the audience Q&A. So we have talked about using AI and technology in talent. So what are the some ethical considerations which we should consider? Okay, some considerations or something which might go a little wayward when using AI and tech in talent management. So any ethical considerations you think companies or recruiters should consider before using a lot of AI?
Yeah, see, I think the most, the tricky bit, I would say, when it comes to using a technology and trusting it blindly. Okay, and this is a very thin line. I'll tell you this example of what they normally call in the market as training set. So what happens is, if you're hiring for a specific role, you prepare a training set saying that this is the ideal profile that I'm looking for. An individual who fits will get hired. But the critical aspect is, when you do that ideal profiling, is there enough audit that has happened to identify that there is enough check mechanism that is there to rule out the bias? Because eventually the algorithm that you're building, that can have an element of bias. And the machine is as good as what you feed it with. So I think that check mechanism is a very, very critical aspect. The second bit, again from a talent acquisition point of view, I would say, I think one of the biggest challenge, risk, what do you want to call it as, is the increase, or I would say, the fraudulent activity that we see from now and then. And how closely we can tackle those bits to eradicate that fraudulent bit. Because someone who's matching up a resume can come and pass the screening. But how strong you should really eradicate that? I think that those are the final elements where the human interaction comes in, or those things, those unethical ways can be easily bypassed. And hence I say, we are still in a dial-up mode as far as AI is concerned. The Wi-Fi 5G space is yet to be achieved, and I think in the coming months we will see us progressing to that side.
Okay, great. So with that, we come to the section where we have a lot of audience questions. We have curated a few of the audience questions for you. So let's start off the audience part. So the first question comes from Aditi Bhatia. Has AI affected talent retention strategies in your company or in your previous company? Or you can give your opinion on that. So yeah.
I would say, affected, yes, the retention strategies, and it is affected in a positive manner. So you have a platform which kind of gathers the emotions, the feedback, the performance, the compensation. It plugs in everything and pops up and tells you, what you really need to do to tackle this employee in a better manner. So historically, an employee, if working in a given team, the manager would be thinking about certain very basic cliche ways of tackling the employees. And now it's more personalized is the way I look at it, because technology is enabling those bits which could really motivates or demotivates the individual. So you get this intel-based information of how do you manage your people versus gut-based gut-based decision making. So that's how it is really helped us.
Okay, so I think Aditi, you got your answer. It was very detailed answer for that. Let's move on to the next part. Rishabh Prakhar is asking: does using AI for talent management risk losing the human touch in recruitment? We have covered a few pointers on that. Like any other pointers you want to cover, anyone on this losing the human touch?
See, I think the most interesting part about getting a job is money, right?
Yeah.
Compensation stacks up, and then if you look at any of the surveys, I think that's where people look for a change for higher money. That's been one of the big reasons, I would say. And when it comes to the competition between end candidate and recruiter, I think that human touch can never be taken away, right? So you have to involve the human to have the right conversation, for a candidate to understand what values this organization brings in, and alongside to have the right compensation. To, if I have to really put it in a way, the negotiation skills is what the human touch can never be taken away from a talent acquisition per se. The feeling that a recruiter can bring to an individual, when a person is joining the organization, I think that can never be replaced by technology. So technology will always be the enabler. It will always enhance your processes to make it faster, more efficient, more the entire bit can be done in a better manner. But you can't take away the software aspect.
Okay. So great answer, Anirban. So Rishabh has got his answer. Let's move on to the next one. Kirti Chaturvedi asks, how can small and medium-sized businesses effectively use AI in talent management? Small and medium, like the small startups, just budding startups, we just like starting hiring.
I've never thought about that. Can it really benefit them?
Okay.
But I think it's about how you change your thought process and how you start thinking that these things will benefit. I think that's the starting point. Because what I feel is a lot of times, small size organizations, they skip all these bits thinking that, this might not benefit. So it's about believing in the fact that this, will benefit. And there are multiple ways and means it can be, picked up by any organization, because there are multiple vendors in the market, there are multiple platforms in the market, and they're offering services at multiple rates. So if you honestly ask me, the things are no longer very, restricted to large organizations. Yes, organizations will have their own models, own AI-based platforms, but it doesn't restrict anyone to go out there in the market and pick up and get this going.
Okay, great. Kirti, you got your answer for how can smaller companies use AI in talent management. I come to the last question from Varun. Varun asks, how does AI help identify unconscious bias within an organization? Unconscious bias.
Yeah, see, it does, right? Because, eventually, as I said, it all depends on the algorithm that you're really plugging in. And if you right for it, when you plug in that algorithm to get the right candidate, that's where you're trying to rule out the biasness. The job posting example I was referring to, I think that's a very, very clear example of how you're trying to move away from the bias element of a posting to something which is more relevant and more not biased. An example of screening, for example, when you're doing a screening, a human intervention could have a lot of feelings, emotions, sentiments, which could eradicate someone from applying for a job. But technology will not look at those aspects and will look at the skill of the individual, which will be a deciding factor to the yes and no of the next round.
Okay.
So yes, it's a no-brainer that I think it's the way forward. It's the right thing to do, and I think that's the benefit of the D&I strategy.
Okay, so we come to the end of the questions from the audience side. So I have one question. So we have talked about recruitment and talent acquisition, and I wanted to ask you one question from a job seeker's point of view also. Okay, So this is difficult times. People are finding a little bit difficulty in finding companies to hire. So what are the 2-3 tips and techniques which you want to share with our community of job seekers, which like a few million people who are looking out for change on our platform? So what are your thoughts on a few tips and techniques or things they should keep in mind when finding their dream jobs?
Well, you're asking probably the wrong person, because I've been with an organization for a decade, and when you ask some questions to that someone like that, it's a tough one to tell you what is the right trick, because you've not done it for the last 10 years. But yeah, I think the basics or the fundamentals of looking for a job has not changed, is what I feel. It starts with having the right profile and the right resume, is what I would say. Because when I look at a lot of resumes across, and when it comes to an application, I think I would say, if I really have to give some numbers to this, 45% of the resumes are very, very, basic, outdated, not to the point. Okay. Or on the other side, you get resume which is extremely overloaded. Okay, so I think it's about having the right balance between not overloading with multiple recipes and keeping it very short, simple for the interview to really get attracted to the bits that you are really applying for. I think that's the number one bit. Second is I think how do you index yourself as an individual? Okay. I think in certain bits we all are very bullish about ourselves. Certain bits we say we are not so bullish. I think when you're applying for a job, I think it's very critical that, what you're really bullish about, you should really talk about it, right? And when you're not, I don't think you should be getting around the bush. You should be just keeping it to the point, this is what my thought is, and this is what I've applied to go for. Don't try to paint the wall white when it's not. I think those are 2 bits which I would like to review with.
Great. So, Anirban, it was lovely talking to you, and thank you so much for taking out time and giving us 40 minutes of your very busy schedule for this ISTAR webinar, the roundtable. And that's it. We come to the end of this session, and it was great having you, great chatting with you, and a lot of very good insights. We'll publish these insights individually on all our social channels. So thank you so much, Anirban, for coming and joining in.
No, pleasure was mine. I think great having a chit chat with you in terms of. I never thought there'd be so many questions, but those questions were quite interesting, and I think nice session, I would say. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anirban, for your time. Take care. Have fun.
Okay, bye.
Bye.